Canon did a thing today, and I'm so proud. I'm so proud. Guys, I've been a Canon user for a while. Both of my cameras I use on stream are Canon. However, whenever anybody asks me what kind of camera I would suggest for a starting streamer, I usually push them to Sony, particularly the A5100. Sony's they've kind of been ahead of the game for streamers, especially in the budget department. But last week, I got a very interesting email from an anonymous Canon employee who wanted to share with me some secrets of upcoming Canon software that will just now launched. Secret Canon emails, man, this job is a lot of things. It's never boring. Anyway, he let me know about this upcoming utility software that could be utilized by Canon cameras that will allow them to be used as webcams. No cam link necessary, straight out of the USB from the camera into the PC. Guys, do you know how excited I am about this? I've been asking for this for a very long time. Every single camera, here, let me zoom in here. Every single camera, I mean, the newest cameras like this one have a USB-C. I mean, this thing is ready for connectivity to a PC. Let us connect this camera to a PC and not only power it through USB to get rid of that stupid dummy battery, but also let us transfer the image from the camera to the PC, clean, high def, uncompressed, and Canon is actually the only one who has reached back out to me and asked. We've actually jumped on a couple calls to talk about these kind of solutions. And with their new camera that's being announced later this year, they've made it pretty clear that they want to be on top again, like in every category. So let's talk about this software. It is still beta software, and yes, it is definitely beta, you can tell. But in this video, let's compare what a Canon camera going over USB looks like compared to a USB webcam. Let's also compare to see what it looks like against the same camera, but going through HDMI into a capture card or a cam link, the traditional way of doing it. I wanna see where in the quality lineup it falls, and then I wanna see if maybe I'm gonna start suggesting streamers use Canons again. Roll the intro. Before we get started, I do want to give a huge thank you to the sponsor of this video, Owned.tv. They are your one-stop shop for all your stream aesthetic needs, whether it's camera borders, overlays, alerts, panels, whatever. They're also incredibly customizable and modular. So for example, if all of your friends pick up this same one you're looking at now called the Inspire series, none of you are gonna have the same overlay because you can pick and choose different pieces that you'd like to add. If you'd like to make the smart move like many of the community have done, feel free to use the link in the description below to pick up an overlay yourself. That link also supports the channel. Also, at checkout, use code ALPHA. It'll get you 40% off. And if you have any questions about any of the things we're talking about in this video, you want to come and talk about it, feel free to jump into my Twitch stream. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday at noon Pacific time. Link to that in the description down below. Canon, I've been testing this functionality all day, and there are things that I'm very happy with about it. The functionality is designed to be incredibly simple. It's not even an app. You go to the link in the description down below, click on the camera that's yours. There's a whole list of compatible cameras. They will be adding more to it soon. So if yours isn't on there, stay tuned. It goes through a quick install process. You have to restart your computer. And then if you open up OBS, add a new video capture device, in there is something called, I think it was what, EOS Webcam Utility. Yeah, your camera just shows up as a webcam now. There's no app, there's no interface like that stupid Logi Capture app. It's just there. And I really love that. And before we move on, I do want to say, because this is in beta, there are issues with it running in Discord. There are issues with it running in Skype. I imagine they'll get those banged out soon, but just know if you're trying to use it in an app and it's not working, it's just because it's in beta software. But in OBS, it worked exactly how I wanted it to. So how's it look? You're about to find out. First thing I did was I compared it against two different webcams. I wanted to see if, without a capture card or anything, if this camera is still a massive upgrade over a cheap or even medium priced or high priced webcam. So first I put it up against a Logitech C920, which might sound a little unfair because it's like 50 bucks compared to a $500 camera. However, important note that made this worth looking at, when using the Canon Webcam Utility app, the resolution of the camera is only 576p, about a quarter of the size of 1080p, and it caps out at 30 FPS. So I wanted to use this comparison against the 1080p Logitech C920 so you could see the strengths and weaknesses of this option. You can see right off the bat, even though Logitech has almost 4 times the amount of pixel density, the Canon looks incredible compared to it. This is why I've always encouraged streamers to ignore 4K on the box of cameras. Pixel density isn't everything. There is a time and place for high resolution streaming. Not it. The image quality, the color depth, the dynamic range, all these things of a good sensor, of a good camera, of a good lens, those make a way bigger impact on quality than just pixels. You start to notice a bit of a difference though when movement is added into the footage. You'll notice the Canon starts stuttering a little bit. It's capped out at 30 FPS, but it does drop below it here and there. I assumed this was because it's over USB 2, and so I plugged in my EOS R, which has USB Type-C, and actually had more stuttering issues on it. So it seems less like an issue with the throughput of USB 2, and it seems more like an optimization or compatibility issue with different cameras, as this is still in development, being that it's a beta. That also makes me hopeful, however, that this will get fixed, since it seems like a software issue. Even up against high quality webcams, like a Logitech Stream Cam, for example, it's the quality of a mirrorless camera and an interchangeable lens just blows it out of the water. There's just nothing you can do to compare those two. The place where the Stream Cam really destroys the Canon though, is again in frame rate, because the Stream Cam does 60 FPS and the Canon's struggling to do 30. Future Harris here. I did all the tests yesterday with the camera set to 1080-60, just because that's what I always have it set at. However, this morning I wanted to try changing the camera to 1080-30. And when I did and went through the Webcam Utility app from Canon, it seemed to smooth things out quite a bit. Since it's capped at 30 frames per second anyway, it seems like bringing it down to a 30 FPS image keeps maybe the pipeline from being clogged, I'm assuming. It's still no 60 FPS, and it's definitely not a perfect 30 FPS, but it is a much more usable image now. We'll be using footage of the camera at 30 FPS in the rest of the video. But I wanted to point out something specific, because a lot of streamers spend most or almost all their time on a gameplay scene with their camera this large. Not to mention there's not a lot of rapid movement in the face cam, so slight stutteriness in general isn't really a big issue. I set up a gameplay scene using the Canon with their webcam utility just to show you what it would look like if you were to use this during gameplay. So far, I would say it's a very plausible option. But let's say you're trying to set up a stream in the middle of quarantine, people are still price gouging webcams and cam links, can't find them anywhere, so you go and you pick up a Canon M200 or an M50, and you plan on upgrading and picking up a cam link later. Let's see what the quality difference between the USB footage and the HDMI to capture card footage looks like. Here is footage using the Canon Webcam Utility, and here is footage going into a cam link. Here's where you can really tell the difference in resolution between 576p and 1080p. The details are crisp. It definitely does look better. But again, to me, the more important aspect of something like a cam link is the 60 FPS, the lack of any kind of stutter. That smooth frame rate of the HDMI output is very much still a game changer for me. I'm really hoping that over the next couple updates they will continue to optimize these and we'll get all the way up to 60 FPS. I don't think we'll be able to get a solid 1080p 60 FPS over USB 2 without any kind of serious delay. So I really hope Canon's able to make their USB 2 cameras 720p 60 with little to no delay, and then they take their USB 3 cameras and they make them 1080 60. Just, I mean, I've streamed in the era back when all capture cards are USB 2 and there was like a full second delay on that 1080p 60 signal. It's not worth it. Make it 720p, get rid of the delay. I really hope that's the case. Another concern a lot of people had was heat dissipation, since the encoding / converting is now all being done on the camera rather than on, like, you know, like for example, the cam link. Is that gonna cause a problem for long-term use? So for you, as soon as this software was released and I installed it, I plugged in my EOS R and I left it running for 5 hours. I checked it every hour, and after 5 hours, it was still running like a champ, the exact same as it was 5 hours prior. So I don't think that's an issue. If this were a Sony camera, and Sony's kind of have that reputation of overheating while recording, I'd say it'd be a problem, but I don't think there's ever been a problem with Canon cameras overheating. We'll have to see if a problem arises if they up the resolution or the frame rate and they actually have to encode more information. Who knows? So do I recommend Canons now? Look, if I were buying a camera for both content creation and for streaming, according to my own personal needs, I would probably pick up the M50 for a couple reasons. One, it has the flip out screen. Two, it's got a hot shoe and a mic input. Three, and this is important, I looked up lenses that I could use. The most common one that people get with the Sony, the Sigma 16mm f1.4, is also available for the Canon, so I have a good streaming lens there. Or the one that I used in this video was actually a 22mm f2, and it was $150 cheaper. So you can actually save $150 by going with Canon and still getting a solid lens. Notably, the field of view will be a little bit tighter. I had to have it a little further away from me. But lastly, I'm just excited to see a company innovating like this. I'm really hoping that this is a big step forward for Canon to be the leaders in the streaming industry. At CES, they were the only camera company to actually have a booth, an area in their little floor area dedicated to gaming. They had a dedicated streaming area at E3. Sony didn't have it, Panasonic didn't have it, Nikon doesn't even know it exists. It was actually really cool. I got to have a discussion with one of the Canon executives who expressed to me how interested they were in the streaming space and how they wanted to get more into it. That being said, a lot of people have different needs, and for some people, Sony's work better. For some people, the Panasonics work better. For nobody, Nikon works better. I'm not gonna stop making fun of them. I'm just not gonna do it. But guys, I'm excited to see your experience with this. If you're able to try it on your cameras, please come into my chat on stream and let me know how it turns out. Send clips of it, tweet clips of it at me. I'd love to see your camera quality using this app and how it actually turns out for you. And as always, happy streaming.
Oh no, scope!
Oh.